Hi there, everyone. Welcome back to Iggy's Toy Parade and Soldier Review. This is your host, Iggy, and tonight I'm going to talk about some G.I. Joes that I removed from storage last week. And I think these are the last things that were in the tub that I took home. And I thought I would share them with you. I know you've seen quite a bit of G.I. Joe, but there's still more to come. Um, because what I was doing is when each set was released, I would buy one. And then when I could, I bought a second one. And if at all possible, I would buy a third one. And my reason for that is that I decided to keep one in its packaging, which was a large window box that came with like a figure like this, and also came with a carded cellophane wrapped equipment card. Some of them were, of course, large. Some of the sets came with three or four of these smaller carded sets, like this one. It was from an Air Force figure, and it came with this crash helmet. So I was looking at these, and I thought, you know what, guys, we need to all get together and sing. Now, I know you guys hate Iggy singing, and Iggy does too. I'm not a big fan of it, but sometimes you have to do what you have to do. So here we go. Are you ready? All right. I want to make sure everyone is there. A one and a two and a one, two, three. G.I. Joe, G.I. Joe, fighting man from head to toe, on the land, on the sea, in the air. That was flat. That was flat. Let me try. Let's start over. I want to get this right. Say, kids, it's G.I. Joe action. Shit, never mind. Let's try it again. G.I. Joe, G.I. Joe, fighting man from head to toe, on the land, on the sea, in the air. G.I. Joe attacks! Boom, boom! G.I. Joe takes the hill! Bam, bam! Terrific battles! Terrific equipment! To have a battle with when you get G.I. Joe and authentic G.I. Joe equipment. You have the greatest realism and the greatest fun you ever had playing soldier. I had to read it off this because I couldn't remember it. All right, let's take a look at the journal. Let's see what the journal says. Now, when I opened the box, there was a set number 7 along with one of these sailors. One of these sailor boxes empty, so I must have put him somewhere. But according to my journal, set number 7 is Action Sailor Navy Attack. And that came with a life jacket, semaphore flags, a blinker light, binoculars. What else did it come? I think that's it on that. And then, so this would have been that would have been a number 2 because I didn't take the life jacket out of the packaging. And you know what I should have done? I just thought of this now. G.I. Joe, G.I. Joe, fighting man from head to toe, on the land, on the sea, in the air. How was that? That was probably better. That's why when you can edit, which I can't do, I don't know how to do, maybe I'm too lazy to learn how to do, you can come up with better videos. So thank you for indulging my incompetence, and I'll try and do better. Let's see. So that was set number 7. And these other ones were probably set number 18. Maybe it was a set number 1. I have 4 of those. That's the only one that I have more than 3. And then I have one that I just have 1, and that's set number 25. And that's Action Pilot. I had a bid out for another Action Pilot, and I thought for sure I was going to win it and lost it when someone sniped at the end of the auction. And so I had to cross. I was so sure I was going to get it that I actually put the second number there and had to scratch it out. That's why you don't count your chickens before they hatch. That's an old saying, and I think it's rather apt to what we're talking about here. Now, we covered G.I. Joe in many different videos, so let's go to something we have not covered. Well, I did show you one, but I'm going to show you this. Now, this is an exclusive of the G.I. Joe Collectors Club, and it was pretty expensive because I had to join the club in order to buy this. So I think I spent like $90 altogether, something I would not do today. I don't have that kind of money anymore. Let's take a look at it. This apparently was done by the same artist who did the G.I. Joe packaging. And it has some other G.I. Joe Club exclusives. I don't know if you can see that. Maybe, here, let's do this. There we go. It has some other exclusive G.I. Joe Collectors Club things. You know what, guys? I don't think the G.I. Joe Collectors Club is even around anymore. The second golden age of G.I. Joe is over, and it all disappeared from shelves, and even the Collectors Club, I think, is gone now. If it's still around, someone can leave a message and let us know. Now, this is probably heavily influenced by Saving Private Ryan. Let's see if I can find a date on here. I can't see it. 1998. So I'm guessing this was heavily influenced by Saving Private Ryan. Oh, look at this guy. Here's a... does it say how much it costs to join up? A trial membership was free, and then 1 year was $36. Okay, so there's a rumor that they were trying to get a head sculpt of Tom Hanks for this figure, and that negotiations over payment to Tom Hanks collapsed. And so they put this Joe head on him. But they produced some of the Tom Hanks heads, and I was able to buy one at a G.I. Joe convention. So one of these that I have actually has the Tom Hanks head sculpt, which is pretty cool. Now, the detail on this is not what you would expect from like Blue Box International or Dragon or In the Past Toys. The buttons and buckles are very large, whereas Blue Box International, they're more to scale. But he comes with the gaiters. In this case, they're cloth gaiters. And he comes with a Thompson M1A1 submachine gun. And I think I showed you one of these once before. I can't remember, because I bought like 3 of them or 4 of them. The reason I bought so many is I bought one at regular price, which was pretty costly. And then I bought 3 that were on clearance at a clearance outlet. It was called Tuesday Morning. I don't think they're in business anymore, but I'm not sure on that point. It was a store in California called Tuesday Morning. They only opened once a week, I think, or maybe just the weekend or something like that. And they featured nothing but clearance items from various different stores. So I bought a number of these, and one of them I put the Tom Hanks head on. One I sold, and then I think I have too, like this. But it's pretty cool. I like it. Um, I wouldn't hesitate to recommend it to you if you can get it at a good price. I think this was like $10 at the clearance outlet. And I think that's a pretty good price for something like this. And if you can get a hold of the Tom Hanks head, that makes it even better. Now, there is some damage to my box. That wasn't there originally. That happened in storage, because what happens is there's a lot of humidity in Florida, and the box would get a little wet. And then if it had another box sitting on the top of it, thusly, when you separated the two, it would tear up the paper wrap of the box, like you see here. So it's a pity that it didn't survive storage intact. But when you look at the illustration, you can tell it's the same guy that did the illustrations for other G.I. Joes, like this guy here and this guy. I'm not sure if he did this one. It looks like he has raccoon eyes. Is he supposed to have raccoon eyes like that? I just noticed that. I never noticed that before. That looks kind of bizarre. You can see that that's the guy. They don't really look like G.I. Joes, do they? But they do have the G.I. Joe scar. Now, my own face has a scar, which was quite noticeable when I was younger. But the scar was not on this side, it's on this side. And the way I got it is that I was with my friend Mark and Neil. They were brothers. Someone told me, or I think it was his sister, told me that they're attorneys now. And I think their father was an attorney too. I remember going over to their house for 4th of July, and their dad had bought fireworks, which were illegal in Southern California at that time. They still are, because the brush in Southern California is extremely dry. Droughts are nothing new in Southern California. So he was firing off these fireworks for 4th of July, and when he was done with them, he would grab them real quick and throw them over the fence into what was basically we called it the wash, but it was like a creek. It was for rainwater drainage, which would, when it did rain, would get really wild, like almost like rapids back there. But he threw the things back there, and it started a fire. I mean, a really big fire. And all these fire trucks came, and all these people, and I'm like, that was probably one of the most exciting 4th of Julys I ever experienced. Luckily, no homes were lost. No one was hurt. It just was a big show for us kids. We were all excited and running around. I don't know what happened to Mark and Neil's father. I imagine that he got himself out of it. He was a pretty good attorney. How did I get off on that tangent? Oh, the scar. We were walking up Mark and Neil's driveway. They lived not next door to us, but another house over. And we were walking up the driveway, and we spotted a razor on the ground, and we both reached for it. But Mark, being more athletic than me, got it first. And we started arguing. Because I said, well, look, I saw that first. And he said, well, I'm an Indian and I need this. And I said, well, I'm a cowboy. I need this to shave. And we started fighting over it. And by the way, Mark and Neil every summer got a mohawk haircut. And they look pretty wild. I actually thought it was cool myself, but Mom wouldn't allow that, I don't think. Anyway, we started yelling at each other. Well, I found it first, man. So he said, "Well, you want it, you can have it." And he sliced my face open with it. And the razor was sharp enough to cut my face open like a raw steak. And I was wearing a white T-shirt at the time. And I ran home, which was just, like I said, a couple doors over. And when I got in the door, my shirt was completely red, just soaked in blood. And my mom took one look at me and she put her hand over her mouth. Now, I wasn't crying until my mom did that. And then I looked down at my shirt and I'm like, "Ah," I started crying. So my mom took me to the doctor and he sewed me up and he said I was a regular brave little soldier because I didn't cry out when he sewed my face shut. Um, that was a long story just to tell you that I had a scar like G.I. Joe. Uh, I had a lot of stories that I would tell kids about how I got it. Like I would say, well, Zorro was going to make his mark on me, but I stabbed him before he could finish it. And another story I would tell people is that it was a dueling scar from when I was in Heidelberg. And of course, I've never even been to Heidelberg. I drove by it once, but that's not the same as going in there. But that's my G.I. Joe scar story. Okay, guys, I think that's all I got for you this time. Should I wrap it up? Let's wrap it up. I'll meet you guys back at Roy Rogers Ranch and we'll hit the chow wagon, have some beans and some bacon and maybe some homemade biscuits. That's for British and Australian folks. Biscuits over here is like a dinner roll, a certain kind of like a roll. We call it a biscuit. And I know that you guys call that biscuit is a cookie. I think I'd rather have a British biscuit than an American one. At any rate, we'll do that. We'll say hello to Trigger and to Bandit, and hopefully Rin Tin Tin shows up. So I'm going to say goodbye. Bye.